All right, you're thinking about making the move to Sacramento, and mid-century modern homes are your jam. Today we're going to cover mid-century modern homes. We're talking cost, price, current stuff on the market. We're going to talk about neighborhoods that specialize, builders that have specialized in them as well too. Sacramento is rich in mid-century moderns. We don't really focus on them too much on this channel, but tonight we're doing that. We got Mbarba. Matt, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. I love that intro song. Gets me pumped up every time.
I know it took me a while to find the right one. It's funny that you mentioned that. It's like I tried to get rid of the song, and someone was like, "I like the song. Please bring it back." So I'm like, "All right." I shortened it a little bit. But this was your brainchild. We were talking a little bit about it, and I felt the passion in your voice when we were talking about mid-century. You're like, "Oh man, I love this stuff." And like, so give me a little background on like what your take is on mid-century modern.
I mean, my take is just like from the architecture perspective, coming here from the Bay Area, there's pockets in the Bay Area that are rich with mid-century homes. And my wife and I lived in Walnut Creek for a couple years, I think like 3 years. And there was just always this pocket of mid-century homes. We would just always drive by, check them out. And, when they went for sale, we'd have to go to the open house. And that's one thing that surprised me when I moved to El Dorado Hills, actually, is that in El Dorado Hills, I found a pocket of mid century homes. And you don't really think of El Dorado Hills and mid century go together. And I just found it super interesting that there's literally one pocket. It's kind of like two streets of, of mid century homes. And we wanted one so bad. We wanted it to be our first purchase up here. It was a little too small for a family of five. Right, like, and we're going to go into that. I'm sure the pros and cons of mid-century, but it was just a little bit too small for like a true. I think it was like a true Strang Brothers home in El Dorado Hills. And then as I got to know the area, Fair Oaks, Carmichael, Land Park, I started to realize like how rich the history is with mid-century.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I love the minimalist, clean lines, the simple aesthetics, and so I always love to look at them. Whether they make sense is another question.
This is the question. That's the main question. They're pretty to look like. They're pretty to look at. You know what I mean? They kind of remind me sometimes of MGs. They're really pretty little sports cars, but running now and again, it might not be the best purchase. I like them. I grew up in a mid-century modern house. I grew up with like in an Eichler. Controversy, Eichler or Alliance, but basically I grew up in a mid-century modern house. It was nice. I liked it. Clean lines and everything too. But I'm 6'2", my brother's 6'4". Those hallways were very tight. And, we kind of grew out of that house really, really fast. And so I think the idea is that, a lot of people come to Sacramento for that great room concept or the bigger houses. And the mid-century moderns, I think they hover, a lot of them hover like 1,800 square feet around there, and like we have amazing builders, like we got the Strang Brothers, Jim and Bill. I mean, they're kind of, I'd say if you're looking at something mid-century modern in Sacramento, they're going to be the first name you definitely run across, right? The Strang Brothers. That's just it. You'll run into, and it's hilarious in our market too. It's like you'll be looking at houses, and then you'll see like this exposed like rock wall in the middle of the living room. You'll be like, "What? This is what?" And then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, that's a Strang Brothers home." You know what I mean? And they're such known commodities in our market. But I will tell you one thing though, you're talking about where you grew up, and I grew up like in Marin. I mean, mid-century modern homes are big. They're very expensive in the Bay Area, but in the Sacramento area, they're not as expensive. I mean, maybe the upkeep, the maintenance, and all that stuff too. But at the same time, I mean, they're definitely doable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, we've done a handful of them since being up here on the funding side. We did it same thing, probably a dozen or so in the Bay Area. Again, they're more common there, but and that's where I'm kind of learning about more pockets that we're finding them in. We've done a couple in Southland Park, and they've been renovations. So what's really cool, they were actually Eichler homes. So I'm glad you have this up. But there's a couple developers in the area who are kind of bringing back the aesthetic and flipping, I should say flipping or renovating just mid-century modern and bringing back in the same textiles and finishings and fixtures, and it's been really cool to witness.
I mean, I think that I can say like I think mid-century modern works. I think the only thing is for me, I just think the wider hallways. I think that I love the glass outside. You know what I mean? It brings kind of like that stuff outside too. I think it's really. I mean, like look at some. Let's go back to some of these photos. I mean, like that's just beautiful. Do you know what I mean? That's just like it's just like so nice and everything too. Now here's a trick about mid-century though too. It's not like you just buy a mid-century house and you call it a day. I mean, in Sacramento, what I've noticed is a lot of people who go mid-century. I mean, they go for the eclectic furniture. They go for that kind of vibe. Like that's what they go for, and that furniture does cost a pretty penny. It's not super like hey, I'm going to go to Beck's Furniture. You know what I mean? This is like expensive kind of furniture too. So it's like, if you look at like this house, you'll look at all this stuff, like totally like perfectly geared for like when it was the wood back chairs and everything too. So, I mean, it definitely is a fun way of like having a house, you know what I mean? And also there are tours of mid-century moderns that happen here. Like I said, it's a fun style of house. And like I said, you got the Strang brothers. Eichler did his stuff here too, and you'll see some Eichler homes sprinkled in Sacramento as well too. I think Strang is probably the biggest influence builder around here too. And like what you said too, it's pockets, right? Pockets are what we're seeing here in Sacramento. You'll run across the street and they'll all kind of be the same kind of style because, like that's how they did it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go into some of the pockets as well too. What do you think? What do you think, Matt?
Yeah. Yeah. See them.
What are your favorite things about mid-century?
Mostly the aesthetic, and just how clean and simple. Also, like the simplicity. Like you don't typically see them with a lot of clutter, right? It's such a give and take too, because I've got 3 little kids, and doesn't feel like a lot of comfort in a mid-century home with little ones, right? Everything is like sharp line, hard edges, a lot of like hard finishings. You don't see much carpet in these homes. The one we looked at again, like I think the main reason why we also didn't like it is sometimes we're seeing them with the fireplace directly in the middle of the house. I don't know if you've ever seen some of those. So it kind of just throws off the flow if you're looking for like open concept. Yeah. Right. But then again, like if you go to an Eichler, it's like all open. So it just depends, I guess, on the type of mid-century home you're going for. I have to admit, though, what's something that really bothers me lately, and I'm sure it's been like this for a long time, is people who use, and it's more real estate agents, they try to get more appeal to a home by saying it's mid-century, when really it's just modern. Right? Like it has modern finishings, it's been updated, but then they'll call it mid-century because the stager put in mid-century furniture.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I see that all the time. And a lot of them because Sacramento is notorious for like ranch style homes, and it's just like, right. and those can be kind of like tweaked a little, I guess you can say, you know what I mean? And so some of those things you just got to like, but like I said, like if I was going to ever go mid-century, and I don't think I would. I mean, I grew up in one, and like I said, I like the open concept myself, just my own way. Like I was talking to the wife about this actually before we did the show, and she's like, yeah, we're not doing that. So, happy wife, happy life. So I'll be living here in Gold River. But, for the most part, if I was going to do that, I would have the backyard completely open, the glass where you can kind of pull it open and everything too. I think the landscaping too can be tied in really nicely as well, which would be nice. So I don't know. I think mid-century modern definitely has its place in the Sacramento area. And some of these areas, it's fun because it's like, it shows that Sacramento just isn't all Toll Brothers, Taylor Morrison, and Woodside and everything too. And I think that, I've worked with some clients who specifically are like, I want mid-century modern. That's what I'm looking for. And we found them some stuff. And so, it's kind of nice to know that also fits into our area too. Because like I said, we have so much new home building right now that people are thinking Sacramento, it go to Taylor Morrison. It's all new home buildings. There's nothing but tract homes. And it's nice to have these little pockets of homes you can show them and they can go, wow, okay, I get it. You know what I mean? Now, if you guys are enjoying the show, go for it.
I was just going to say too, like on the supply side, like what you kind of mentioned, like new construction is booming in the whole region, right?
Yeah.
And not only is mid-century the supply much shorter, so to me, I feel like there's going to be, stronger appreciation for people who desire these homes in the future, which like there's
100%.
some true and right, there's some true mid-century enthusiasts. We've had some, and they're fun to work with because they're like, hey, this is exactly what we're going for. And when they see it, they're all in, right? There's no tiptoeing. Should we buy it? Should we not? When they see one
Mm-mm.
hit the market, they're jumping all in. Um, and that's like, it's, again, it's a different client type as well. But you mentioned this earlier, for the price, we're seeing some like below 600,000,
I know.
which to me crazy.
And we've got some right here for everybody here. So we're going to pull in some of the houses that I've been to. These are houses that are actually currently on the market. Now, like Matt was saying, some of them are mid-century. Some of them are, like it just gets. Here's one, $2 million house. This is my buddy. Look at these windows, man.
I
Look at
know.
that.
Yeah, you got the beams, the pitched roof, the windows. Yeah,
I mean, that's just beautiful. And like the acreage it's on. Look at that. You got a 4-car garage.
yeah.
Um,
Where's
Look at
this
that.
one at?
This one's right on Fair Oaks Boulevard.
Okay.
I think it's a Bertolucci estate. Bertolucci was like a big car mechanic and everything too. And like, I think this is a estate they're selling. But I mean, he had the old 50s cars and everything too.
Oh yeah.
This is a side garage as well too. Look at the poles also out here. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
really, really nice, Here, let me
Yeah,
see.
that's a great aesthetic.
Oh yeah. Beautiful house. Look at this. Just so nice. And look at that land. You know what I
I
mean? Even
know.
from the outside,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Looking at this, it's just so really just pretty clean and everything too. Like I said, a lot of people love that aesthetic, but I mean, having a mid-century too, as far as like on a big piece of land, that's a rarity. That's not an easy one to do.
Yeah.
And then you got this one for just under $1 million. Look at that. Clean lines and everything too. This is, what do you think? Is this mid-century or is this a little ranch? What do you think?
I think
What do you guys
it's
think?
more. I think it's more ranch. I think it's more ranch with the. I don't know. I'd have to see the interior. I like the updated pool. It's nice.
Yeah. I think it's a nice
Yeah.
home though. I mean, ranch or mid-century, but like here's the thing, you got a little bit more of the modern furniture in here, but it's a beautiful house. Like
Mhm.
you got the modern stuff which kind of, I don't know. I don't think it appeals to the mid-century. But then you have this one. Okay, this one's cute. Like under $600,000 for this one, right?
Yeah. No, this one's a. This one when I saw it, I was like, even as like if you had the cash as a collector's item, like it's an awesome home. What is the thing is with these again? Like when you compare the first one to this one, the square footage is just drastically different,
Oh yeah.
right?
Is this I think this one's on Ava. I think it is. No, this
Yeah,
is Sunnyvale. Okay.
50
Look at that.
yeah,
Look how pretty
59
that
build.
is.
Yeah, orange door, olive green.
Just nice. You know what I mean? You can't beat that. Look at that. Look at that exposed like beams, all that stuff too. The windows, really, really nice, clean, everything too. Like I said, under $600,000 for something like this. I mean, if you're a mid-century person and you see something like this, I mean, like that's just a score. Let me see if I can find the one I'm trying to look at, and we'll look at this one next. This is a Strang Brothers home. Right here.
Okay.
Boom. Look at this. This one is for $650,
When was this built?
over 2,000
78?
square feet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
2-car garage, 3 full baths. What is it? Really, really beautiful house though. I mean, look at that thing. Look at the pitched roof. Really, really nice. Reminds me of the stuff I used to grow up around. I mean, look at even the old school windows. You know what I mean? Like really just
Mm-hmm.
nice.
I have to
Um,
admit, like the Strang Brothers makes like as far as functionality, their homes make more sense to me than Eichler's. I love to look at Eichler's. I could look at them all day, but as far as like functionality for a family, I think Strang Brothers kind of they win.
I mean, honestly, like I grew up in Eichler Alliance, whatever. And one of the biggest things that everyone always asks me is like, is the radiant heating still working? That was a big thing. It was like the radiant heating. That was it. And so, it was interesting. But I mean, look at these lines. Look how clean that is, Old
Yeah.
school, you got your fireplace right there, You're
Mhm.
waiting for like
Yep.
Marcia, Jan, and Greg to come down and have a fun old time here. It's nice though. But like I said, something like this is like a nice house that you'd project out. You'd get it all nice and done, and you'd probably stick with the theme of the mid-century modern type thing. You know what I mean? Like, because, like I said, why wouldn't you? It's like getting an old school Mustang. You know what I mean? You're not going to get like it souped up modern, because it just doesn't work with the value and everything too. People who really like the mid-century modern, they want to go very much like true to the, the 40s, 50s, and 60s when these homes were built. I mean, this is nice. This is really, really cute. And then let me see if we can get another one here for you guys out there.
It's a great price.
Look at this.
Price tag $650. Yeah, $500.
$500.
Like, again, like in the Bay, these would be so much more expensive just for the the style.
Look at that kitchen. Got that. You got the exposed beam up here as well too. I mean, just cute. Really nice house. You could do a little project on. Maybe I'll sell it to your buddy Brandon Butler. This is nice though. I mean, like I said, I love having different style of homes, because I think that's the nice thing about the Sacramento area. Like I always tell people, I'm like, like we got everything. You want something, we got it. You want to live on a golf course, we got a bunch. You want this, you want that. I mean, we really do have so much stuff kind of like at our disposal that, like, for anyone looking to make the move into this area, it's just like, it's nice. You can have that mid-century modern that you don't have to break the bank. I mean, like, what if your budget's like, I even got someone, actually, clients of ours, that like 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, they bought a duplex that was mid-century modern as well too. And they have that stuff, and it's really kind of cool. And here's some areas that, if you guys are looking, here's some areas that you can actually like look into specifically, and kind of drive around if you like the mid-century stuff, and just kind of, these are the Carmichael ones, like Overbrook. You got like Evergreen Commons, and Evergreen Commons is actually, we put a person into us String Brothers over there. And then you got what? You got Clearfield, you got Barrett Hills, you got Autumn Hills. I mean, there's so many kind of cool areas for you to look at for as far as like that stuff goes. I mean, it's really, really nice. So I don't know. What else do you like about the mid-century modern vibe? Because I mean, you were like literally saying that you were about ready to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, I was. Again, like I said, when we moved to El Dorado Hills, I was shocked to find a pocket of them. And again, it was just two streets. And, again, when you think El Dorado Hills, you think of like Serrano, right? You think of like everything that's closer to the lake. But yeah, La Cresta Village is an area in El Dorado Hills that's got a pocket of them.
Ooh, all right, let's go. La Cresta? How do you spell?
Village. LACRESTA.
All right, let's go. There we go. Boom.
Boom.
All right, here. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So right here, you got some pocket of homes here. You got some of the big ones, but then you said that there's a pocket of like mid-century around here too, huh?
Yeah, there's a street called like Mesa Verde right by that lower right pocket.
Oh, right over here?
A little bit more south. Yeah, right there, that lower left cul-de-sac. You were right.
Oh, right
there.
Here?
Across. Nope, that's apartments.
This is what happens when you drive and you had a couple of beers. No, I'm joking. So over here?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, when we toured them as a family, they were just too small, right? It was like 1,400 square feet. Some of them had fireplaces like right in the middle, kind of threw the vibe off. But as far as like, again, the whole area, like Sacramento in general, it's been fun finding the pockets of homes, right? So Fair Oaks has them, Carmichael has them, the Pocket has some, Southland Park has some, and they're all different. They're all wildly different, right? And then also like searching, I use Redfin, right? So I'll put in mid-century into the keyword search bar at least like once a week, just to see what pops up. And then you can kind of see if people are like using the term mid-century to market the home, or if it's like a true historic home.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of see like if they've updated it or they kind of maintained its original architecture. So, and then again,
For
the whole area, is, like you said, is so known right now for new construction. It's nice
yeah.
to get some different architecture to look at.
For me, if I was going mid-century, I would definitely need a name behind it, like a string. Like I would need to know who the architect was before I pulled the trigger, because of value. Because of like, I mean, people freak out over String Brothers homes, like legit 100% String Brothers home. People just like love them. It's like the brand name is definitely something that's super strong here in like Sacramento. Um, and like I said, you got some good areas here. You got Southland Park, Carmichael, Arden Arcade, River Park. But you also have pockets like El Dorado Hills. Elk Grove's got pockets of them as well too.
Yeah.
They're just like little pockets where they decided to buy. Someone was like, they called Russell the house doctor, and Russell built them a mid-century modern house. And that's kind of back in the day when Sacramento, there was land. They were just developing these little kind of like cul-de-sacs and pockets of houses. Now, Jack Strang is an interesting one for me because I have seen some of his homes that he kind of went off the mid-century. Do you know what I mean? Like I had a client call up and say, "Yeah, we're looking to sell our house. This is Strang Brothers home," and it was a Jack Strang Brothers home, but it kind of looked more like the Tahoe style of home that you see around Sacramento. So that was kind of interesting as well too. Um, you know, like the veering of like what people were building. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever seen any of the Jack Strang's houses?
I haven't, no. I might have, but like not known it was a Jack String house.
Yeah. But for all you guys out there, man, I'm telling you, if you guys like mid-century modern, if you guys like that kind of stuff, I mean, Sacramento definitely has it. We got Eichlers, we got Strang, we got a bunch of stuff out here in Sacramento that for all you people out there who like are mid-century modern fanatics or lovers, or this is what you're looking for, we do have them. And the beautiful part about our market is they are very affordable. See, what we notice a lot about people who move into our market specifically is they're looking for those like open concept. They're looking for like a lot of that stuff that's really popular right now. So I think people will either come into the area and not even look at mid-century modern, not even just look in that direction. So it kind of is ripe for someone who's saying to themselves, "I'm moving to Sacramento. Maybe I lived in like a Eichler or something, or and I kind of wanted to have something like that in Sacramento." You guys can pick up some great deals on these houses. Like it's one of the markets in Sacramento that's completely overlooked, the mid-century. I'd say also work with realtors and lenders that kind of know and kind of like it as well too. Maybe a realtor that grew up in one. Maybe one of those. So I would say mid-century definitely has its place. Any final thoughts on mid-century before we move on and talk a little market?
Yeah, I looked something up here. So Jim Strang was known for atrium style. What do you think of the atriums in some of these homes?
I love the atrium style homes. And one of the things that when I was selling my parents' house in Marin, one of the things is one of the realtors was like, Eichler builds atrium homes. And they were like in that area where the atrium homes for me are my favorite type of homes. I love that atrium home. I think that's really, really nice. That and having the windows to the backyard. Those are my favorite things about the mid-centuries. I mean, the clean lines are great, but I love the idea of having those because the house I grew up in, it was like windows, 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 windows. And the fireplace, I mean, it really looked like Norman Rockwell, like that kind of vibe too. And I really like it. It brings a warmth in the house. So for me, I like the atrium. How about you?
So it's funny, when we first moved here, our neighbor had an atrium style house, but it was in Serrano. And
Okay.
so this is one of their big dilemmas when they were building these homes, which is up in Sacramento, it's much warmer than the Bay Area. So some of the, I'd say, poor designers, I wouldn't call this the Strang family in this quote that I'm going to say, but um, these poor designers, they made a heat box, right? So our neighbor's house in Serrano had an atrium. um, their PG&E bill in the summer was $1,200 a month. It just brings in so much heat. Now, what they did is they went with a glass ceiling, in the
Okay.
Jim Strang brothers' homes. So you wouldn't have that open air that brings in so much heat, but you could still have access, kind of like a sunlight, right? Um, and they were very methodical about it. Like you could see this, like they wanted you to see the moon and the stars, like and nature overhead. I just think it's a cool concept, but again, like you have to be careful, right, with some of those aspects, which is if they've changed it or altered the home, like it can just get so hot.
Yeah. Well, I would say also this. I mean, like, it's getting hotter. Like in Marin County, where there's a lot of Eichlers in that area, like, you know, the air conditioning is a big problem in those houses. I mean, and not being brutal, but like having the HVAC on the roof, having the HVAC sticking in the window, it's just that's kind of what these houses kind of do. And so what I noticed, especially with like my parents' house, was the fact that like as the years progressed, everything seemed, the world as we know it is getting warmer during summer, and it just got hotter. And it was one of those things that we were just bringing in HVACs from Home Depot to get the house cooler. So I think you're totally right. I mean, like there's no ducting in the houses. You know what I mean? You can't run that. You can't just basically go like, hey, I'm gonna use my Google Home, like my Google Air thing, and turn on the heat and have it perfectly balanced and everything good. It's like no, flip on the HVAC and everything too. So you're right. I mean, those atriums can probably be a big pain. Like I think I think Mid-Century was designed a little bit more for the cooler climates. But then again, I mean, like these houses also remind me very of Palm Springs. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of like, I don't know. I don't know, but I think you're right. I think it's got to be definitely designed for the climate that you live in. And like I said, a lot of people in the Bay Area who bought these houses, like that I know in my little niche of these houses that I grew up in, a lot of them like didn't know what to do when it got a little hotter over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think one thing to consider is like if you are looking to buy one, is like look for one that's been at least updated and made a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more modern. Like the AC is adequate, and you have like maybe underfloor ducting or something like that. That's the only like advice I would give. I know, again, it's just a different type of buyer, right? Like
Yeah.
you're willing to make in real estate, you're always willing to make some sacrifices, and I think this is like you know the efficiency of the house is something you'll have to sacrifice for sure.
Yeah. I think like a house like this would be cute for a couple starting out. You know what I mean? Like the
Oh, yeah.
whole like thing. I think these are like super cute houses for people who are looking to like entertain. People who are looking for that kind of like fun house. Bust out the martinis. Let's play a little like Dean Martin on the radio. Like this house kind of has that eclectic charm that I like. But I do think though once you start throwing in 3 or 4 kids, soccer games like birthday
Yeah.
parties, it can like explode a little bit. Not to mention, with all the furniture that you're buying that kind of stays on theme, it's expensive. And pets, kids, it just could be a little bit one of those things that's a little costly. So I don't know. I think, like I said, I like the idea that it's affordable in our area. And I like that it has its place, and I think that it's kind of fun to know that we do have these pockets of mid-century. And for you guys, if you're thinking about making the move out here and you like mid-century, guys, I'm telling you, you can get some sweet deals. I mean, like Matt and I were seeing some stuff. Like I said, like it just showed you a little while ago. These houses you can get mid-century under $600,000 square footage, close to like 2,000 square feet, or you can go crazy and go 2 million and get something mid-century modern that has like a couple acres, an extra garage unit and everything too. So I think for anyone looking mid-century modern, come to Sacramento. We'd love to take you for a little bit of a tour. And before we go to our break and talk a little bit about the market right after, because we do that every week, every Wednesday at 7, we talk about the market in its current state. And Matt and I are going to go into it a little bit too. Matt is a mortgage professional with Vibe Mortgage. If you guys are looking to make a move, if you're looking for a great lender in our area, Matt is fantastic. Okay, I would definitely say reach out to him. If you're an investor, if you're looking for luxury, if you're looking for whatever, he does it all. He's an amazing guy. And like I said, I only bring people that I really like high integrity, good people on this channel as well too, which is fun. So I would say give Matt a call. And he's like a freaking calculator when it comes to like numbers and everything too. So I'll have Matt's stuff. I already have Matt's stuff actually in the description below. Reach out to him. How'd you like that? Was that pretty good?
That was awesome. Nailed it.
All right, good. We're going to go to our first little vignette commercial thing, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the Sacramento market, how it is. And guys, interest rates are up. The market's slowing down, and we're going to talk about it right after this. Welcome to 2078 Promontory Point Lane in Gold River, California. This home is listed for $625,000. It is 1981 square feet. It comes with an HOA, but the HOA includes a pool and a tennis court as well too. The home is also close to shopping, including Rite Aid, Bel Air Market, Smart and Final, really close to everything. If you're looking for Chipotle, it's about 2 minutes away. Arigato Sushi, as well as Il Forno Classico. This is a Robert Powell home, and like I said, it's in a complex that has a swimming pool as well as tennis courts, so there's tons of things for you to do. The house is meticulously maintained. It has finishes and updates that most other units in the area don't have as well too. Priced perfectly and ready for you. This amazing home is ready at $625,000. Like I mentioned, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, close to walking trails, swimming pool, and everything. You really can't ask for much more on this amazing house. All right, so that's our house in Gold River. We've got a couple of people looking at it right now, so it could be gone, but it's a great price point, great price per square foot and everything. All right, Matt, let's hit the market. What are you thinking as far as the market goes right now? I called it last week, and I was saying I think rates are going to be going up next week, and they're up. What do you think of that?
It's right on target with what I've been saying since you brought me on, right? Like, this is the new normal. This is the new normal. Get used to it. It sucks to hear. I hate saying it. Even with the Federal Reserve releasing their projections, so they cut rates by 50 basis points. Everyone knows that. That's in every headline. But if you look a little bit deeper into their projections and what they think is going to happen with rates will continue to fall over the next 2 years. But the levels they think where they'll fall is basically going to put the average mortgage rate at 5.5, right? So in 3 years, if they're saying the average interest rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage is going to be 5.5, we were just at 5.8 2 weeks ago, and everyone wanted to like pump the brakes and I want to see if rates go lower. It's like, well, they didn't.
Yeah.
Now we're back to 6.4. It just sucks, 2 weeks ago we were locking loans at 5.8, and now we're locking loans at 6.4, 6.5. And so you can't depend on the news to be your advisor on interest rates right now, because by the time the news finds out where rates are, it's too late, right? And so we've had a lot of conversations lately with our clients who are buying homes and our clients who are looking to refinance. They're trying to get out of 7 and 8% and trying to get into the 6s. Is that if something makes sense, you kind of just have to jump, right? But this is the new normal.
It's I think it's a giant wake up call too for a lot of people who thought that this week, because I had a poll on the channel about if people thought rates would be lower this week, and the majority of people said they thought the rates would be better this week. But based on the job numbers that came out, it's kind of the easiest way to say it is, if job numbers are great and everything is going great, they're not going to cut rates for the most part. That's kind of how it looks. So anything positive that means you should be thinking, oh, that's great news. Yes. But if you're a home buyer, if you're looking to jump in the market, that just means that they're not going to be cutting much, because they're everyone can afford it. You're all working. We're all making money. It's all good. And so that's kind of how it kind of rolls out. And so I think it gets people. I think there's still a big, subset of people. Like I was talking to a friend of mine, realtor, and she was saying she's working with a lot of people from Sacramento. And a lot of those people from Sacramento are just waiting for those prices to drop, interest rates to drop, and everything too. And I was telling her, I'm like, it's hard when you live in Sacramento, because you do see some of these houses that have sprouted up $200,000 in 3 or 4 years. And you're like, you ain't buying that. That was $450 4 years ago. It's not 4 years ago. It's not going to drop. even though our resale inventory is sitting, you're going to just see, honestly, like a lot of sellers are sitting on 2.75s. They're not in this big, huge push that everyone thinks they are to sell. There's not going to be a whole bunch of, foreclosures. No, it's just, they're just sitting there, and I would just say, like, some people might be reducing prices a little bit, but those are the prices that the house probably should have been listed at the first place. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I was reading the SAC appraisal blog this week, and home sales are down for the whole year. Lowest home sales since the 90s, right? So and he's counting number of transactions, not like appreciation, right? Everyone kind of confuses the two, appreciation and home sales. So no, appreciation is still between 5 and 7%, depending what market you're looking in, which is very healthy. They're talking about the number of transactions are down because of affordability, right? And I've never been one to say buy now, buy now, buy now, right? It's just, you have more options when you have assets. And so something you touched on are people with like 2.75% rate. Well, if they need money, they're getting a HELOC. They're just tapping into their equity, right? That's probably been the number one request I've had this year is I need a second loan or I need a HELOC. And then they're using it to several reasons. We've had people start businesses with their HELOC. We've had people pay off debt. We've had people buy investment properties, buy properties for their kids, help their kids pay off debt. And so this whole like, they're eventually going to need to sell. No, they're tapping into the equity. And if you bought in Sacramento before 2019, you're up anywhere between 40 and 50%. You have a lot of equity to play with.
Yep.
And so I agree with Rob, but I want to jump to Rob's comment. Rob's spot on. Like, these numbers are fake for multiple reasons, right? But ADP came out and said payroll's at its lowest levels. So how do you have increasing jobs number with payroll having its worst month ever? Like, you don't. They have to coincide. So jobs number is fake. It'll be revised. It's been revised all year. And that's what sucks, is that we get this bad data, which affects mortgage rates, which affects affordability, which affects people's ability to go out and purchase the home or borrow the money that they want. And it's frustrating to see is that they're not getting the true cost of borrowing. That's what really sucks.
Well, and we're also coming into election. We're coming into like the time of the year everyone loves to spend money. I mean, it's just like there's a whole bunch of, like there's just a whole bunch of stuff like happening at once, and it's just kind of a freaky market too. The thing about our market though, hitting like, and Rob's right too. He said home sales are down nearly everywhere. Now here's a crazy part though. This is what kind of kills me. Okay, is that the numbers that a lot of people release, like all these people do, they don't really take into account new home sales. It never does. And like, it's the biggest joke when it comes to the statistics. It's like, this is what our market, guys, in the Sacramento market, we're weirdly structured with new homes being so very popular in our market. The home sales and the new homes are never factored into a lot of the appraisal blogs like numbers. And it's like, it's not really valid unless you count those transactions as well too. So it's like, I always look at it, I'm like, that's so lopsided. That just, I get it, but it doesn't really take in the new homes. And so for me, a lot of times I look at that stuff and I think like, the new homes don't go on the MLS for the most part. They're just transactions that happen. Our market, 30,000 new homes, Folsom, 30,000 new homes, Roseville, 30,000 new homes, Elk Grove, West Sacramento, and everything too. So for us, we kind of have an interesting market in comparison to like the Bay, comparison to like LA, comparison to anywhere, so it is a little interesting. I'd love to see those numbers all compile together and see where we really stand. Yeah. Rob says, it does suck. Exactly. It does, straight up. Darren says economy is not what they say it is. Agreed. 100%. And Darren, I think there's major manipulation happening. And I just think that like, the people I feel the worst for are the buyers. Buyers, I think, have just been beat up so much in the last couple of years. And I get why they're running to new homes. I was in this really nice roundtable with Meritage Homes today, and they brought us in, and they're like, "What can we do for you? Like, what are your clients thinking and everything too?" And like, I was looking at them, going like, "You guys are like the new kid in school right now. Like, why wouldn't you go to a new home? Like, or at least consider it, right? Like, yes, I get it, density, I get it, like landscape in the backyard, I get that, right? But the idea that you could go to a new home and a lot of these builders are giving you like 4% interest rates, and now that we're headed back up, I'm like, that's where the game is right now. It's in the new homes. It just is. I mean, like, love it, hate it, whatever. Like, the new homes are really the big game in town. That's why you have almost every big builder, because Sacramento does have a lot of land building. Tri Point, Woodside, Lennar, Taylor, Toll. You got Black Pines, who opened up a community downtown. You got like, Meritage, you got KB, you have DR Horton, you have, Woodside, you got all the builders building here. You got Shea Homes, you got, Tri Point. Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, and we got land, we're building, and people are buying. Yes, there is inventory they want to get rid of because they want to clear the books Q3 and Q4. But at the same time, they're not hurting like a couple of years ago. They're still good. I mean, like, where are you going to get a great rate? Where are you going to get a house that's basically brand new, ready to go, that you don't have to deal with, like, am I paying too much for the house? It's been on the market for like a year, but like they're not willing to negotiate the price. And the seller's saying, I'm sitting on 2.75. Carrying costs are basically nothing. So I'm good. So it's a very tricky market. What do you think as far as it? I mean, it's last week, how I saw it the last couple of weeks, even with the slowdown and the rates dropping, I still saw it like applications were picking up for a lot of mortgage professionals, but a lot of people were still waiting for it to drop. And so it was slow. And now that it went up, I'm curious what that effect that's going to have to people. I mean, it clearly went up this week. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think?
Yeah. Now you're going to have, again, like, we're going to start hearing more about buy downs from sellers, right? Sellers are going to have to start getting creative. Sellers are going to start have to doing incentives and marketing and pricing their homes the right price the first time. Because if you're a buyer and you're saying, unless you love the mid-century aesthetic, you're going to say, what makes more sense on paper? If you're an analytical person and everything just has to make sense on paper, then a new construction home makes more sense on paper. For me, I'm aesthetics driven, so they're not for me. Like, we lived in a newish construction home in Serrano when we moved up here. Loved the size, loved the extra bedrooms, like, but as far as like community vibe, tiny backyard, like built into a hill with like kids couldn't really be out front, like just didn't work for us. But with that said, is if you're coming to, again, I think why I see them make sense for like Folsom and El Dorado Hills is those people usually aren't from the area, and they're specifically buying because they want more for their money.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I went from 1,100 square feet townhouse to a 3,500 square foot rental, right? And it was a 2000 build. Like, that made you feel like king in the castle, right? You're like, all right, I'm finally getting more for my money. And that's what I see with these new construction homes. You get more for your money when you're coming from an area that's much more urban or much more tighter. You're going from, 1,000 square feet, even 1,200 square feet, and you're getting, 25 to 3. It feels good.
Yeah. Hitting the question, crowd control. D.R. Horton is the largest builder nationwide. Warren Buffett actually owns some of D.R. Horton stock as well, too. So he bought a big chunk. I think number 2 is Lennar. I think that's how they stack up. But, D.R. Horton's interesting, too. I mean, they're in West Roseville. They upped the price tag. They leapfrogged over Meritage, and now they're building. They're trying to compete, I think, a little bit at a higher area. One of the things I told Meritage, I'm like, is stay in your lane. I think the lane there for Sacramento between like maybe like the fives and the 650s. I think that's an area that we really need in this market, with a good buy down, good incentives, and everything too. I think people are looking to jump into the market, and I think a lot of people are looking at Linda, Yuba, Loomis Lake because our market is just a little bit, it's just a little bit expensive. So I think, like I was telling them, I'm like, stay in your lane, be that builder. As DR Horton's going up in price, you stay where you are, and I think it's a great place to be at. You know what I mean? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean the only thing I really don't, again, new construction makes sense for I think majority of people buying right now. I just have an issue with like their marketing tactics, right? Like these incentives that they're giving away, everything's built in, right? Like these guys aren't dummies, right? Like everything's built in. They buy everything at scale. They buy the land at scale. They do the permitting at scale. They buy the materials and the labor at scale. So they're getting a pretty cost-effective way to build a home. But when they start saying like, "Oh, I'm throwing in 20K for this and 20K for that, and we're cutting the price," like it's all built in,
Yeah.
right? And so you might be able to get. It feels like you're getting a good deal. It feels like you're getting a good deal, but keep in mind like everything's been built in, and if it's not been built in, then you start paying for it, right? Because I've seen the basic finishings and fixtures. There's always upgrades.
Always. But okay, I'll
Always.
play devil's advocate on this. And we got Keta from the Bay Area said, my husband worked for DR Horton. They built Folsom and El Dorado Hills. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of builders who created Folsom and El Dorado Hills. You know what I mean? There's just a lot. Now I think that like, I see DR Horton more doing the West Roseville thing. I see them building in Sacramento, which is a smart market. I think the thing is like Folsom back in the day also was a lot more affordable. I think that like El Dorado Hills was too. And so I think the land up there is super expensive too. So I think DR Horton, I think they're right now doing something interesting. Like I said, they had this community called Balboa 2 over in West Roseville. Those price in the 400s that just exploded. Now I was expecting them to stick with the 400, low 500s and kind of swoop underneath Meritage and grab all the investor business and first time home business, but they didn't. They leapfrogged over Meritage. Now they're building in the 600s. So it's going to be an interesting play for everything. I mean, all these builders are super smart. I mean, like the idea to think that they're just not thinking, I mean, they're two things: super smart and super greedy. And like we saw that last couple years ago when they were just getting rid of inventory because they overbuilt. So it will be interesting to see right now because, they are the game in play. Like I said, I'm with you, Matt. Like I think, getting a house with a little more land, landscape backyard, that thing is nice. But if you look on the internet, if you look on the MLS, where are they? There's a bunch of stuff that's just kind of thrown there, or the price tags are like high there. And it's just like, I just don't know where those are. Everything that we're listing currently right now, my team is aggressively priced. You know what I mean? And that's the only way we list stuff because in this market, that's how you do it. But I'm seeing stuff, especially your neck of the woods, people are freaking out about home insurance and people are looking at the price tags going like, that makes no sense. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't hit the insurance thing is definitely a big issue, like big issue.
Yeah.
It hasn't hit me yet. I haven't been affected by it. I'm in like the flat part. It's very suburban. I'm not like in the rural area. Fire stations are like just a half mile away. Um, but it is a huge concern. Like we did a couple transactions in Placerville this month, and we got to get what's that? What's the
California
fire
Fair
insurance?
Plan?
Yeah, we had to get the Fair Plan Act, and that's not cheap, right? Like, if you
Nope.
have to budget, if you expect to budget $100 a month for insurance, you're off by $400, right? Like, it's coming out to be about $400 or $500 per month that you need to budget for insurance. That's a lot of money,
Yep.
right? And then like with today's rates, I mean, that's like it's like financing an extra 60K,
Yeah.
right? So that's how that would be really interesting to do is actually compare new construction to a resale, factoring in insurance costs. Insurance costs is going to be cheaper on new construction because you have sprinkler systems, you have locally central located fire hydrants, fire department typically down the street, um, much more suburban neighborhoods. So it would be interesting to compare. You really have to compare all the costs. It's not just the mortgage payment anymore. I think you have to compare taxes, insurance, and the mortgage payment with your incentivized rate and compare the two. Because if you just look at price point, you're going to be missing a big factor on both sides. Both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'd say like whenever I talk to home insurance people regarding new homes, they're like, "Is it a new home? Yeah. Oh, not a problem. We're good." It's almost like that kind of attitude. So it's like, you got that as well too. But the thing about home insurance is the crazy part, especially the fire stuff, is like you have no control over it. It's not like driving, you know what I mean? Where you're like, I have a perfect record, so my premiums are down. It's like, no, man, like, like a little while ago over there was a burn zone and all of a sudden you're up. You're on curve, and that's it. And people get switched. And I think that's the like uncertainty of that freaks people out. I mean, we're in a weird age of weather right now where Sacramento has had like the hottest October ever. You know what I mean? Like we've had atmospheric rivers the last couple of years that have tested our houses. And so we are in weird weather. And this is worldwide, right? But it is becoming interesting. We're having companies that were staples in California say, bye-bye, I'm gone. And it's kind of the new reality of what we're living in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I do find it interesting with insurance companies leaving and healthcare exploding.
Yeah.
Like the amount of healthcare we're building here is, to me, just it. Is it because of population growth, like, or is it just like again land to build? Like, do we have the land to build? They just in Folsom, they're wrapping up not renovations, new construction on a brand new UC Davis Health Center. It's beautiful. It's huge,
Oh yeah.
right? Yeah, it's interesting. And I just tell my wife, like, how many jobs and how many people is that going to bring to Folsom, right?
That's also one of the things I always talk about. Like you got UC Davis doing that. You got Dignity over there as well too. You got Kaiser across the street corner. We got Kaisers on almost every street corner. We treat nurses and doctors better than pretty much anywhere in the country, and they get good pay here as well too. So like as far as job wise goes, like I tell people this all the time. Yeah, I get it. Maybe you work for Google and you're making buku cash, but you got to be there. But if you don't, state jobs are great. You got all the infrastructure jobs like Matt's talking about that in the schools building. It's not just teachers. It's also just like construction workers and everything too. You got like tech jobs. You got HP, Intel. You got all that stuff going. You got Amazon. You got like Apple. I mean, our job market is so like, and my favorite word I always use is load balanced. You know what I mean? Like we don't need one specific thing to make everything work. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, what happened? Like Nvidia dropped jobs and all of a sudden everyone's freaking out. It's like, we don't have that. And that's I mean, for me, I worked in the tech field for a while and it's like freaky. You see your buddy get fired and you're like, am I next? I mean, that stress, that idea, that's not what I want. How many state workers do you know?
Do we have?
How many do you know? I mean, just out,
a lot, almost. Yeah, it's either like every other, like I'd say, friend group. Like you either work for utilities, you work for the state, or you work like remote tech. That's what it seems like.
Oh yeah, I got Cisco engineers. I got all this stuff, and like it's funny. A friend of mine from school, we always talk barbecues and pools, but he's always like, I got 4 departments fighting for me, so I'm thinking about what I'm doing, and then at 58, I'm gonna be retiring with like 80 or 9% of my like. It's like I'm like, man. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, it's great. He's fantastic, and he's sitting there with his cup of coffee in the morning, just no stress, going for walks. I'm like, man, you figured it out early. Keta says tiny homes are the way to go. I love Elon Musk's tiny home. What do you think of tiny homes?
Tiny homes or ADUs? Tiny homes?
We'll go tiny homes. What do you think?
Again, I like the design features, the aesthetics. It's the hard part's the land. Land financing is a total pain in the ass. So it
Oh yeah.
that's the hard part, because then it's like they have all these questions. Is it raw land? Are there utilities? Is it, is it set up? How much does that cost? But as far as like, yeah, to get more homes in California, right? Like we probably should build some denser communities. I don't know if Sacramento's built for denser communities. Not yet.
Yeah.
Like I keep thinking about the infrastructure around Folsom,
Hmm.
right? Like we're not really ready for, you know, a ton of people moving in. The freeways aren't ready.
No. Oh
Um,
man.
Schools
East
definitely
Bidwell.
are not ready. Yeah, the schools
Yeah.
definitely aren't ready. The schools are all the schools between like El Dorado Hills and Folsom right now are super impacted in the elementary school and high school grades. So I don't think we're there yet to bring in more homes, but we definitely need to consider pockets where we have to build up instead of build out.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I mean, I saw some stuff. It was down in West Sacramento. They're building tri-level homes with the roof decks and everything too. Woof, those are nice. I was like, those
Yeah.
are like staying thin homes. You're
Mhm.
always you don't need stairmaster. You're up there living the dream. All right, Keta says from flood zones will drive your insurance up. Absolutely, and that's why a lot of people in Florida are just saying. But we've moved a lot of people out of California for the last couple of years to Florida. We've gotten calls with people moving back as well too. But Florida got hit, and now insurance is going nuts, and they're crazy. Here in Sacramento, what is it like? Natomas is pretty much one of the only areas of flood insurance, so it's not a big thing. But like in Florida, it's just making it impossible to live there now, and everyone's leaving. They're either leaving for Texas or coming back to California. What do you think of that, Matt?
Yeah, we've had three families this year move from Florida back to California, and they bought in Roseville, and then they bought in Fair Oaks and Carmichael. So we've seen people come back. We have a couple clients moving back from Idaho. Um, yeah, I think it was good during COVID, and things have changed. I think there's another one, North Carolina, coming back again. Like their kids are having kids, and they want to be closer to grandchildren. So again, it goes back to those lifestyle decisions, lifestyle moves. It's
Oh
not so
yeah,
much. What I found interesting in the last 2 years is some of these retirees who made great. Again, I'm not knocking their financial decisions, but they're realizing like their house was free and clear, and now they're realizing like we'd rather pay a mortgage and be closer to our kids.
yeah,
And so they had a house that was free and clear, selling it, big down payment. They're taking smaller mortgages. Don't get me wrong, $200,000, $300,000 mortgages, but they're saying it's more important for us to be closer to our kids than having a house that's free and clear. And I found that super interesting as someone who's been in finance for 10 years. Like, oh, there's another end of the spectrum where you get to your house being paid off, but you're like, it doesn't matter. Like, I thought it was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I've run into a lot of families who like had that dream of like, we're going to build our house. We have land for our kids to build their houses. We're going to have that. Like I saw there's one family in Grand Bay, beautiful house. Oh my God. It was so absolutely gorgeous. And I talked to the guy and he's like, yeah, my daughter's a nurse in San Diego. The other one's here. So we're going to be moving over there. And that was their thing. It was like going where the grandkids are. And I mean, it does make sense at the end of the day. I mean, who wants to live in this like 5,000 square foot like house with land by yourself, right? You're like, this is awesome. Hey, Matt, you want to come over? There's like no one here. Please come over. I'm kind of freaked out here. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, I get it. And that's kind of how I would be. I mean, my wife's already announced to me straight up. She's like, wherever our kid goes to school, we will be moving. I'm like, okay, we really need to make this YouTube thing happen. So it is what it is, but I get it. In fact, the house that we have right now in Pilot Hill, that's the reason they're moving for their kids, and I think that's a great reason. I think like for me, I get it. And that's a totally good reason, All right, we got Keto who says Oracle was the reason property went up. Folsom and El Dorado got a lot of tech people. Yeah, Oracle, what have we got? Intel as well too. Intel was a big one too. When Intel came in, that just that put Folsom on the map. But I will say this. We're not so reliant on Intel. Intel had layoffs, and guess what? People are still buying homes. People are still loving Folsom. Folsom did not fold. So I think that we maybe used Intel to get to that level, but now, I mean, I don't think Intel's like, I mean, yes, we love Intel. Please don't lay off, but I don't think we're that I don't think it's going to make that dent. It didn't make that big of a dent in the housing up there. People still love Folsom. What do you think?
Yeah, I keep thinking about. I was thinking about this before the show today, which was I wish I moved sooner. You know, I wish like you don't really get a feeling for the lifestyle until you're here.
Yeah,
And you realize like again if you like the outdoors, like you have everything at your fingertips, or
yeah,
within an hour and a half drive. And we've talked about this before, just how central everything is. But again, I think I said this earlier, like I've never been a buy now type of person, but if I put a little bit more urgency into looking here sooner and purchase before 2020, I probably would have paid 20% less. So
yeah,
it's not so much like buy now. It's like if the area is growing, which this area is, and the population is growing and the jobs are growing, it's only going to become more expensive.
yeah.
And so, in hindsight, I wish I bought sooner. The kids are loving it. The kids are thriving. We're meeting new people. Like we got invited to a pumpkin patch party this weekend that the kids are all jacked up to go to at like 8 a.m. And it's like they're hosting breakfast and giving away pumpkins to the kids. It's just such like good community vibes. The parks department, right? The parks department is like hosting an event once a month. Um, I think there's something like 25 parks in El Dorado Hills. We ended up going to a lot of the parks in Folsom too. There's some like historic parks in the area that like our kids love to go to, hiking trails. Um, yeah, it just as you know, for kids, it's just such good energy, good people. Everyone is kind of on the same track.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
Big
wish we
community
did it.
vibe. I mean, Sacramento is so nice. People are friendly here. The other thing too is sports. I mean, it's
Yeah, huge.
crazy how much sports are a part of living in Sacramento. Not to mention, guys, A's tickets are going to be the most expensive tickets in all of Major League Baseball as well, too, because we love our sports teams. But it's not only that. I mean, you go to Costco, you can pick up benches for the soccer games. You can do all that stuff, too. So, like, honestly, like for my daughter, she does the soccer thing. She loves it. Swimming, we do that, too. Basketball, tennis, the whole 9 yards. It's great for that. And also the high schools are like little mini colleges. So it's like it's a great spot, I think. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
All right, we got Keta says, when I first moved to Sacramento, I rented a 4-bedroom house for $750. I tell you, those were the good days. Woo!
Damn. Woo.
Man, I know. Well, I think also a lot of people who've been here for a while are like, they're like, man, I should have bought a house back in the day or bought a few of them. You know what I mean? And like I said, I still think Sacramento's got like legs. I think we are a great market in California. I think we are affordable California still. And it's controversial. Yeah, I get it. Affordable California, but comparatively towards LA, comparatively towards the Bay Area, we still got it. And I think that, for a lot of people who don't know Sacramento, who might be discovering Sacramento, come out here, give it a shot. I think it's a really good spot, family friendly. I think you can buy a nice house. I think also, like you were saying, Matt, like one of the things about Sacramento is I think COVID pushed us into another level as well too. People said, I want a bigger house. I don't want to do the Zoom. If COVID happens again, we got 1,100 square foot house in the Bay Area and my wife needs to do Zoom. I need to do Zoom. The kids need to do homework and we're going claustrophobic. We need to get out of here. And I think Sacramento was that spot people moved into. So I think that's one of the things that really helped us. And I think we'll continue to kind of thrive because we do have land, job diversity. I think our location's fantastic. I'm probably going to go up, to snowboard or something, in a couple of weeks, hopefully, if the weather gets better. But yeah, house we're going for $700,000 to $150,000 in those early '80s. I know. I remember when Grant Bay communities, friends of mine were like, "Oh my God, look at this new community in Grant Bay." Back in the day, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So I don't know, man. I don't know. So what do you think? Good things for Sacramento, Matt?
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where like you want to keep it a secret, right? But it's like the secret's out, so you might as well help people along the way and just kind of get to the destination they want to go faster. But we have friends visiting right now from San Mateo. They're going to Apple Hill tomorrow. They're going to be hanging out by the river. They got a little week off of school. So like those little things too. Like when we first moved here, we were at Apple Hill almost every weekend through the fall, like checking out all the different farms. Like there's a lot to do.
There is. It's fun, and it's like family stuff too, right? I look at Sacramento and I'm like, yeah, if you're young and you want to go out there and everything too, you got Midtown, you got certain pockets, but for the most part, all of Sacramento is somewhat like a kind of like suburban Netflix community, going to watch a movie in the park with your family, soccer games and like barbecues and getting together, nature, going for walks. I love that vibe. I want my children raised with that vibe. I want to do that, and I love it. I thrive in that type of atmosphere, and I like it. You know, the only thing that worries me a little bit is all these new homes. I don't want to lose our nature. I don't want to lose Folsom. You know, I don't want Folsom to be like San Jose or whatever. I don't want to see that. Hopefully that doesn't happen. All right, let's hit into it. Here's the inventory going up, as we mentioned. Sacramento breaks the hottest day in October record. Jobs report, as we mentioned, is making those rates not really attractive right now for us. Jobs are great. Rates, that doesn't bode well for us. Construction, they're going to build a 130-room Marriott hotel at Folsom's Palladio. Interesting. Huh?
Why do you think that is?
It's booming, man. You know, I do like, you know, here's the thing. You had mentioned this about a couple months ago about Cameron Park. And I think you're spot on. I mean, Cameron Park is going to be that spot that people are going to say, Folsom's too busy for me. There's too much traffic eventually. I want to live somewhere far away, but I still want to have access to the stores. And Cameron Park's price tag, I like it. I like it a lot. I like the area too. So I don't know. And then we got this. Rain is returning to Sacramento as temperatures dip. I cannot wait. I got my cardigans. I'm living it. I cannot wait. All right, let's get into some questions real quick, Matt, and we'll let you go for the evening. Let's talk about a little Pilot Hill. Welcome to 1410 Hound Hollow Road, located in Pilot Hill, California. This home features 4 bedrooms and 3.5 baths, 2,061 square feet of living space. One of my favorite parts is it sits on 40 plus acres with some of the best views of Folsom Lake, and it's offered for $1,188,000. And guess what, guys? It's actually currently not on the California Fair Plan, which is just amazing. It also comes with a main house, a guest house, and a workshop, all located on the property, solar, water pump. It is just an amazing property if you're looking for something that you want to move all the family in, if you're looking for something as an escape, a getaway. Unbelievable land, unbelievable location. This house is really one of a kind. The price tag on it will make it go really, really fast. So if you guys are looking for something, if you're looking for that one of a kind forever property, this is definitely it. You should definitely take a look at it before this property is gone, which will be soon. All right, so that house, check this out. There's 3 structures. There's a main house. There is a guest cottage that is just decked out like crazy. And then there's a workshop. All these things, right? 40 plus acres. They pay under $2,500 a year for insurance.
That's crazy. That's cheap.
Insane. This house is great. I literally, like, I think once every couple of days I look at my wife and I'm like, can we make this work? I'm like, but yeah, so it's going to go. It's a good one. All right, let's hit some questions. All right, we did some, like, what do you think? Do you think some of these new homes, do you think they're, because you're not a big fan of the new home aesthetic, do you think some of them are like too much, they look alike? Or what do you think? What do you think of the aesthetic of these new homes?
For me, it's just they're too similar. They're too similar. It just depends too. Like if there's an HOA that runs them, you know, that can be a pain in the butt. Not that they have an HOA fee, but if there's like the CCNRs that say you can't do certain things, I guess it's pros and cons. People like that. Some people don't. The aesthetically, It's just like, they're just giant boxes. But again, on paper, they make a ton of sense.
I'll tell you, this one house though, this specific house it was bizarre for me. It was in a vineyard area. It was by Taylor Morrison. I like Taylor, but this house is so odd. It was like almost like a battleship. So yeah, it was a weird one. Oh, and also there's going to be a lot of short form content on this channel for all the house tours. I'm going to try and align them in playlists too. So if you guys are looking in Roseville, look at the Roseville clips, and you can see if you see something you like, give me a call. Just tell me which video. I'll tell you about incentives, how much they're going for, and everything too. So hopefully you guys enjoy those. All right, where do you want to see Toll Brothers next? Natomas, Upper West Side, Rancho. I don't think we're going to see that. What do you think? Toll Brothers and Rancho?
This is what I'm going to ask you is they just announced 8,000 new homes in Rancho. So who's that builder? They just broke ground like last week.
I think that's I butcher the name. I think it's called the Brian or Brant project or something out there. And I think it's supposed to be this whole kind of community of houses, shopping, works, parks. It's supposed to be like this whole kind of green community out there. And it's supposed to be pretty amazing. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what that does. I don't know who the builder is. I think the builder is independent. I know KHOV out there has got another 5 communities that are going to be thrown up. I think Cressley's got a couple more. I think Beezer is going to show its face in Rancho as well too. I think Lennar is going to be building. Woodside is going to be building for a while. But I think that community out there is going to be completely separate. I'm looking forward to it. I get pinged a lot about that, so I want to kind of go out there and kind of figure that out as well too. But it should be interesting. I think that area between Rancho and Folsom Ranch, I think that area, that land is so valuable right there. Because I think Folsom Ranch eventually is going to bleed into that. If you can get a piece of that land, I think you'll be. And if they do the connector between like Folsom and Elk Grove, man, you'll be cashing in. Another casino.
It's coming.
All right. I know. Man, we love our casinos here. I've never once been to a casino in Sacramento. Not once. No, steakhouse. But other than that, no. Yeah. All right. Almost sold out. $700,000. I work here. This is Regency Folsom Ranch. No, it's Tri-Point. It is Tri-Point, Canterley, and Lariat. And they need to get rid of these houses, guys. I'm telling you, the best deal in Folsom Ranch, under $700,000. I don't know if they sold the 3 and 2, but it was at Canterley and it was under 600, and they're giving like 6% of the purchase price towards buy downs. It was nuts. If you guys were looking at Folsom, what do you think about this? What do you think about like under $600,000, 6% off the home price towards a buy down, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Folsom?
At Regency or not at Regency?
No. This is Tri-Point, Lariat. I think Canterley.
No HOA?
$84 HOA.
Melrose?
The usual around like I think 300, 320 or something like that.
A month? Or a year?
Yeah. A month. 320-ish. All the homes, everything in Folsom Ranch is going to be, except for Regency, but they have an HOA, is going to be around like maybe like between 300 and maybe like 450. No matter what builder it is. HOAs, I mean, Melrose are everywhere.
Yeah.
That ain't bad, though.
No, it's not. Like I said, like that 6% is pretty massive. I think I don't know for long-term purchasing. I don't know if that's a long-term hold if it pencils out, but less than 5 years, it's a deal.
I put a friend of mine into one of these Tri-Point homes. It was a Lariat home. And his house increased like $30,000-$40,000 within like 6 months.
Oh yeah. That's the thing too. Is like, so if you're talking new construction, you phase 1, phase 2, like you're making coin right away, right? Like,
oh yeah,
because it's forced appreciation. Every phase they're going to increase the price. So by the time they get to the end of the phase, you could be sitting on $100,000, right, or more, $200,000. Like, it's pretty substantial. So if you are looking at new construction, I've always advised, like, find out if you can get in the first 1 or 2 phases, because by the time they're done building, like, you've got some great equity.
Oh, a lot of the new home people also end up buying the first one, then sell it after it's done. So you can make some money there. Definitely. All right, so we got new construction homes, Sacramento, California, for $650,000. Beautiful house. Too bad it's comedy 40. I love these comments. Honestly, I just throw these out. But if it was, we'd all have a house, right?
That's true. Good point.
All right, would you buy this $1.7 million Toll Brothers home in Bickford, California? If it comes with a basement, I think it's one of our clients returning from Florida. No, if it comes, or maybe coming from Texas. It's important to have one to store a lot of things away. This is great, but we need a basement. What do you think? I mean, okay, so basements, I know this is kind of joking, but it's like basements, you see them in East Sacramento, Land Park. Would that be something that might be interesting for like a new home? I mean, honestly, like why not, right? Like less of a footprint, an area where you can use as like a family room, gathering space, something. I mean, I think that'd be kind of interesting to see a new home builder building basements. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. For sure. We have a tri-level home, and I think those are underrated for the fact that like you have two living rooms, right? Like that's one of the reasons we bought this tri-level home was it's the garage backs up to like this lower den area, but you
Okay.
essentially you have two living rooms, right? Um and again, it doesn't really impact the footprint much. We love it. We love it. So yeah, I think something like everything to me again is like it's so open concept. It's all the same. I think there should be some, or at least on the bigger home builders, it's like we want some separation in the house, especially when you
Yeah.
have kids, right? What the loft style stuff is cool. It's just like if they can enclose it so it's like quiet, quiet loft. Um, but yeah, we just need more like open space is definitely what everyone wants. I just think that like they should consider something that's like two living rooms, two family rooms, two wings of the house. So like you get some division. I think they would have more buyers.
I think here's the thing. I think like it's hard not to see the open concept and not fall in love with it. The idea that
Oh,
like, this is just like boom, like everyone's here, the gathering space, everyone's getting together. I think you're right. I mean, I think having a little bit of separation, everything too, because you have to really think about how your lifestyle is. What are you going to really use? You can't romanticize buying a house and going, it's me and my wife. We're going to buy a 4,000 square foot house. We've got like 7 bedrooms. We got all this stuff too. I mean, are you really going to use that? You're going to pay electricity on it, the heating, the cooling, the cleaning, and all that stuff too. And so I think you've got to kind of like understand when you're looking to buy a house, like what flow do you need? What is your lifestyle? What is it going to be like in 6 months? Are you going to have a child? Or are you going to get a pet or whatnot? So I think you got to really understand how your family dynamics work as far as like lifestyle, flow, sports, friends over, Netflix parties, all that kind of fun stuff. So I think that that's a lot. And I think a lot of people, because they're not used to new homes, you can really fall for those new homes and go, wow, I was coming out here, I wanted like a 2,000 square foot house, but now I saw this one, it's like 3,000 and it's pretty much what I was planning on paying for a 2,000 square foot house. Let's go for it. So I think figuring out exactly what you can work with definitely makes sense.
for
All right,
sure.
let's go some polls. Where do you want to see Toll Brothers build next? Elk Grove, Roseville, El Dorado Hills. Elk Grove unanimously if with 49%. What do you think? Where do you think you'd like to see Toll Brothers build, and where do you think they should build next?
Well, they've already built some stuff in El Dorado Hills, and I think they currently are grading for homes right now, like between Cameron Park and El Dorado Hills. So to answer the question, they're already there.
Yeah.
Um, Elk Grove, I mean, why not? They have every other home builder.
Yeah, I know. Elk Grove would be
Yep.
interesting.
I do love what they do with multi-gen homes, I have to admit. They did a lot
Yeah.
of multi-gen homes in El Dorado Hills. They were pretty cool. Um, I would love to see more of those being built.
Ooh, okay. I got a curveball. Ready for this?
Hmm.
Toll Brothers building in West Sacramento on lots that are on the water.
Oh,
Now that would be something kind of cool. Imagine pulling up in your boat, your Toll Brothers house, West Sacramento. Boom, there you go, right there. That would be very, very interesting. Maybe just a little kind of community. But as far as Elk Grove goes, I can see it. I think Elk Grove's market is on fire. I think it's been on fire for a long, long time. You got the zoo coming in. You got like the new train station coming in, connecting us to the bay. You got people like loving it for doing maybe 1 day a week going to. Elk Grove is hot. It just is. The only thing about Elk Grove though is the Melloroos are about the same as Folsom. So, it's just something to consider.
Yeah.
All right. Who likes mid-century moderns? Yes, 10
Whoa, we
votes. I
couldn't
did this one.
oh,
Look at that.
90%. I guess you had 10 votes. So
I know. I was like, it's good, but yes, only 10 votes. I did this about 8 hours ago, so we got some people.
yeah, okay. We
All
need a
right.
longer poll, but that's
I
cool.
know. Well, this thing, I mean, this mid-century modern was so good. And guys, if you guys are enjoying the broadcast too, hopefully you are. Please smash that like button, share the video, comments, questions. We answer them all. Like I said, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. we go live. Now, the nice thing about this show is the idea that our market's moving really fast. I know it's slow right now with the real estate market, but you know how that works. It can switch on a dime like it did the last couple of weeks. We like to go live and basically inform you if you're looking to buy or sell relatively soon what the market looks like, so you have a little bit of understanding of what you're getting yourself into. Or maybe you should wait, or maybe you should go now. So this is what the show's about every Wednesday at 7 p.m. with amazing guests like Mbarba. All right. Again, you gotta love that shameless plug for you. All right.
I love it.
Best place to buy a first-time home, Curtis Park. What do you think? Okay, let's stick on this for a second. First time home, you're coming into Sacramento, you're not sure about the area, but you're saying to yourself, I want to buy something, hope for some appreciation on it, and while I discover the area. What do you think as far as first time home? What would be like, let's go top 3 for you. Oh, and let's identify the person too. Let's go.
What's my budget, dude?
Okay, let's go a couple with their first child. Let's go for a budget of like $600,000. They're looking for something to just kind of like their stepping stone home. They want to get into it. They just want to do it. What do you think?
I'm going to go, again, just to stay on theme, I'm going to go with like a Carmichael or Fair Oaks mid-century modern in that 6 to 7 range.
Okay.
And if I can't afford 6-7, I'm still going mid-century modern. I think it wasn't Sibley. What was that one street? But it was 525. I would go for something like that.
Okay.
I think that was in Carmichael.
All right. I would probably go. Let me think. I like the Anatolia Rancho area. I like that area too because your Elk Grove schools. Yes, you got to drive a little for the schools, but at the same time, I like that area. I think the bang for your buck is there. I think older Roseville might be nice. I think also the Rosemont College Glen area. I think that area is nice as well too to start off. But those would probably be mine. But I think, Curtis Park, here's the thing about Curtis Park. I mean, maybe like 10 years ago, Curtis Park, you can get yourself in there. Curtis Park is so hard to get into, right? The price point, it's not only the price point. The price point's not as expensive, I'd say, as certain areas of East Sacramento and certain areas of Land Park. The thing about Curtis Park is the inventory levels are always horrifically low. There's just not a lot in Curtis Park. You know what I mean? Like, I'm guessing right now there's probably like one home in Curtis Park. What do you think?
I mean, at that price point, there's 3.
Really?
Yeah, but they're small. They're 2-2s at less than 1,000 square feet. They're not 3. They're 2-1s and 2-2s along the freeway. There's not a lot to pick from, to be honest.
Yep. Curtis Park's hard.
I mean, as far as like centrally located off the 50, off the 80, down the street from the 5, just south of downtown, like, yeah, if you can get in there and you're cool with a 2-1 or a 2-2, $500,000, yeah. Great.
Curtis Park has definitely got that brand name. I mean, people love Curtis Park. You're right in the middle of everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Auburn, California is a good place to live. Hiking and nature are the most important reasons to consider moving to Auburn. Please include more visuals of Auburn. I will do that. I should do a part 2. I'm going to bring my drone out and fly it around there and do some videos for you guys. What do you think of Auburn in general? I love it. It reminds me of, like I always say this about other areas, but it reminds me of a Hallmark movie. It's beautiful there. It's nice. I think fire insurance, home insurance could be an issue up there. That's a big one. But as far as the area in general, I think it's cute. I think it's really cute. What do you think?
Yeah, we have some family friends out there, so we go out there. They've got like a compound, like 2 homes, a 4 or 5 car garage, giant swimming pool, like awesome place. My favorite snowboard shop is out there. Milo Sport is out in Auburn, one of my favorite snowboarding shops. So plug for them. It's cute. It's cool. Yeah, if you're into hiking in nature, I don't think there's a between that and like if you're anywhere around the lake, those are great spots.
Yeah, Auburn is good. Part 2 coming
Okay.
up. I might even bring Matt on for that one. All right, who wins, Roseville Electric or Smud? Smud overpowered Roseville Electric. What do you think of
I'm,
that?
I'm not surprised. Mud dominates like all utilities right now, and it's a big factor when people are looking to purchase. A lot of families don't want to play with PG&E, and I'm hearing more and more about Roseville Electric. I will plug solar. I mean, it's the future. It's the way. There's some good companies. There's a lot of bad ones. If you need a referral for one, let us know. But the cost of utilities is only going to get more expensive,
Yeah.
and
And
so
yeah,
uh,
Smud's good,
Smud
man.
Smud's winning by a lot of households on Smud aren't looking at solar. I think they will eventually, but with
Yeah.
Roseville Electric and PG&E, everyone is looking at solar because the costs are just insane.
Yeah. Yeah. PG&E is just nuts. Also, though, I mean, a lot of people don't consider this, but usually the brownouts occur on days that are about 120 degrees and your AC's out. That ain't fun. That is not fun
We
at
get
all. So, yeah.
we get them all the time, man. That's one part. Like, I think I told you this is like PG&E is insanely expensive in El Dorado Hills. It's only gotten worse over the last 4 years. A lot of families are looking at reputable solar companies because again, it's it's not hard for your bill to get to $1,200 a month,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is insane.
Well, a lot of people come in from smaller houses too. Like, oh, we have a 1,200 square foot condo in the Bay, and now we're getting this 4,000 square foot house in El Dorado Hills. Okay, we did not factor in the PG&E cost. We did not do that. So yeah, it can be a little bit of a sticker shock on that too. So just make sure also if you're thinking about buying a house in those areas, you check for the electricity bills and all that stuff too. It's something that's a big one. All right. Who thinks West Sacramento has a lot of potential? I do. I like West Sacramento. I like the Delta breezes. I like the location. What do you think of West Sac?
I haven't been out there too much. I've done a lot of research for investment properties along West Sac because there's a lot of multi-units, like really close to downtown, like just off Fifth Street. Um, I haven't been like really southwest Sac yet,
Okay.
so maybe I'll have you give me a tour. But I could definitely see like the Sacramento, um, channel here and having a house on the water would be very appealing. Like you said, if Toll Brothers were to go out there. But me personally, I need to spend a lot more time out there. I've just done research for investors, like on the multi units.
Well, when we buy the Sacramento real estate boat, I will take you out. How's that?
All right, there we go.
All right. Who loves Folsom, California? Everybody loves Folsom, California. I know. I know. It just is what it is. Thank you, Johnny Cash. We're good
37,
that way.
37 votes.
Look at that. Boom. All right. Rates are headed back up next week. And this was last week I did this. Everyone thought no. Well, pretty much 67% said no, they would not. And they did. So I'm sorry, guys, man. I wish I could bring you better news on the rates. Yeah. So. All right. So if you guys also are looking for work, if you guys are thinking about making the move here, I'm telling you, check out Sacramento State Jobs. They don't pay. They pay really well. I'd say definitely take a look at it. A lot of my clients, we send them this stuff as well too. So it's not bad. All right. So that's kind of it for the show, Matt. How's that? Pretty fun?
It was great. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love the Q&A.
Right.
Let's get some more Q&A.
Yeah, if you guys got questions, we're doing it. One last call before we're out of here. Guys, if you're looking to move in the area, also, if you are enjoying this broadcast, if you like these live shows, if you like this style of show, please smash that like button, comment. Let us know what we can do better on the show as well, too. I always want to improve it. If you're looking to make the move to the Sacramento area, or maybe you're just like want to stick your little pinky in it a little bit, reach out to me. We can talk a little shop. I can tell you about why I love Sacramento. Matt and I are transplants as well, too. We moved from the Bay. We got here. We realized that we should have probably moved here a whole lot sooner. We see the opportunities. We see the growth potential. And we love it here. And like, as far as Matt, he's a family man. So am I. We love it for our kids. We love it for our families. I mean, it's really, really a nice atmosphere. And we could share our stories with you and tell you a little bit about why Sacramento could be the spot for you. Matt, any parting words?
No, I think, yes. What I want your audience to know is, like, when it comes to interest rates, right? This is the new normal. At the same time, you can't make your life decision based on a subjective number. So look at the whole picture. Like I said, like, if you're looking at new construction, look at the whole cost of the monthly payment. And then if you're looking at resale, right, like, really compare the two, focus on that, because again, they can vary drastically. Especially right now, there's just, the costs are just totally different. But yeah, take your time, get a free consult, and then make up your mind from there. Once you have all the information, then make up your mind.
All right, guys. And on this channel, we always say the main thing is time your life. Do not time the market. And tune in next Wednesday at 7 p.m. as we go live again. Enjoy the evening, guys. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune into the Sacramento Real Estate Live broadcast on YouTube. The show would be nothing if it wasn't for the viewers and subscribers who took time out of their evening to watch and contribute to the show. Now, if you enjoyed the show, please smash that like button or leave a comment on how we can improve and make this show better. Now, if you're looking to purchase a home, sell a home, or just have questions about the Sacramento area, we would love to be your team in the area, so please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you want some additional videos about the Sacramento area, here's a good one. It'll help you understand why so many people are making the move to the Sacramento area and calling it their home. It's right over there.